Manchester United's clear transfer plan is revealed. Could there be a late February exit? Talks are held for Hugo Larsson and links with Dean Huijsen, plus links with Liam Delap. All this plus more in today's video as we break down all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news that will keep you right up to date with everything. Welcome to Man United Review. My name's Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video. Let's jump straight into it. So let's kick off with the Rashford stuff. I don't know if you've seen this or not, and I'd love your thoughts and opinions on this in the comment. I'm going to keep my opinion on this very, very limited. So Marcus Rashford made his debut last night for Aston Villa. After the game, went onto social media like the players do and that nowadays. And then Jadon Sancho replied in the comments saying freedom, which has driven social media and a few kind of people into a little bit of a frenzy. Personally, I'm not really big on social media and all of this kind of stuff. I just think it's childish, lacks a bit of unprofessionalism from a player that spent 4 months playing Xbox at United's expense when he threw his dummy out of his pram for when he was called out on training performances. But I'd love your opinions more than anything. I'm not really, it is what it is. I just think it's childish. I think Samuel Lucas kind of summed it up well, saying self-awareness continues to be Jadon Sancho's glaring weakness, and that's the way I would kind of summarize it as well. Just, childish and petty is what I would say. But get involved in the comments. What do you make of it? Is it something you're not particularly bothered about? Are you bothered? What are your thoughts? Get involved below. Let me know, because I'd be interested to hear your opinions on that kind of situation. Let's go through the transfer news. So, Manchester United are planning to sign the best young talents from across the world to bolster their squad, according to their former chief scout, Mick Brown, who spent over a decade at Old Trafford during the club's most successful period and remains very well connected there, exclusively told Football Insider that there is a clear plan in place to recruit younger options. The report also went on to say, or the quotes from Mick Brown say that Manchester United are always looking to sign the best talent from around the world. They've signed the kid from Arsenal, the young centre-back. Then they've got Yoro, who's only 18, new left-back who's only 20. They've signed the boy from Paraguay as well. When you look around the team, there's a clear plan to bring younger players in to help them develop to become part of the first team. So that came from Footy Insider and Mick Brown, who again, former Manchester United's chief scout, probably still well connected at the club as well. And I do think it's a little bit obvious when you run through the kind of, the situation there. Yes, we are clearly going for young talent, but also interestingly, the Muppeteer said it yesterday in one of his recent videos as well, to say that this is the kind of approach from United where they are going to be going out to try to get kind of young players, one that can either supplement the youth team that are ready to step up, but not quite maybe ready to be first team players as well, where you can kind of bring them in and out of the squad, bring them into the first team, play with the 21s and so on and so forth. But then also for two reasons. One, to see if they will develop, because it's going to save you a lot of money in the long run if you can develop these young players, because if you've got a player that comes through at like 18 and they're good and they're top quality, you could potentially save money like this. You don't need to necessarily strengthen that position for like 10 years or so, or even longer, depending on the age that they kind of break through as well. So there's clear vision in doing that. But then also, if they're not very good, you can sell them on to churn a bit of a profit in the way that City, Chelsea, and a lot of other clubs are now having to because of PSR rules. So they are going to be going for it. A lot of these kind of sort of younger players, the ones that can bridge the gap between first team and, maybe still for the under 21s and so on, which is, it's clearly the way we're kind of going forward. And I kind of like that, going back to our roots and getting these kind of young players before they've made a name for themselves. You'll probably be able to get a few that are maybe cheaper as well, with the aim to either development or sell them on. And then with PSR rules, that's going to help us massively as well going forward, rather than overpaying for named players, or like Harry Kane we were linked with yesterday, for example, would be a prime one. Obviously Casemiro recently, that sort of profile of player, which doesn't really serve any purpose, no longevity in it, and there's no value for money in those sort of players as well. But so that clearly seems to be the way that we're going through. But let me know if you agree with that. Actually, let me know what your thoughts are on that in the comments. Now, player that would fit in the mould of that would be Liam Delap. So Manchester United and Chelsea are both keen on a potential summer deal for Ipswich Town star Liam Delap. That came from Peter O'Rourke, who's a decent source, not the most credible, but David Ornstein, who is the most credible, has linked us with interest in Liam Delap. Again, going to be interesting to see. Apparently City have a buyback clause though of around 20 million. Ipswich might be, well, they're having to sell if they get relegated. So it'd be one to kind of keep an eye on. Yesterday's reports were mentioning Liam Delap, also like Gyökeres and Osman, all these kind of players. So I suppose it just depends. Like Liam Delap would tick the box of what we just mentioned before: young, up and coming, somebody you could get and develop, and would be in the could potentially be a first teamer for a lot of years. Same as Højlund, though, to be fair. But again, I think Liam Delap's been doing bits in the Premier League. Højlund's obviously struggling this season as well, but would be an interesting player. One I'm keeping an eye on because I think there would be interest in there. Just depends on the price and bits like that as well. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. Now, another player that would fit the bill of that would be Hugo Larsson. So Manchester United and Liverpool have held talks with Hugo Larsson's agent to understand the conditions of the move for summer. United are most advanced, but Eintracht Frankfurt is believed to want 60 million euros for the talented midfielder. Now, he is a really good player, young, up and coming, ticks the kind of boxes, 20 years old, Swedish, looks a very physical player, tall, not seen loads of him, but definitely would be an interesting profile of player if we wanted to bring somebody in to potentially partner Ugarte, kind of as like maybe Toby Collier vibes around him. From what I've seen, but I've not watched a ton of him, just doing some quick research before this video and highlights and stuff like that as well. But I'd be interested to know your thoughts. If you kind of rate him, let me know in the comments, because I'd be interested to kind of hear your opinions and your thoughts on that one as well. But definitely looks a very promising, very decent kind of option. Would definitely help with the physicality in midfield from what I've seen. 60 million euros seems a bit excessive though, but it's a Premier League tax, I suppose, isn't it, when we kind of go for players. But let me know what you think in the comments. Now, the next player, though, would definitely tick the box and would be, definitely a player I would absolutely love to bring in. So Manchester United have tracked a Bournemouth centre-back, Dean Huijsen. That came from Dean Jones. Dean Jones is he's a decent journalist as well. Not the most credible though, but is fairly decent when it comes to it. Now that would be a great shout. Absolutely outstanding kind of season so far for Bournemouth. He's been 19 years old, been one of the standout players in the Premier League this season as well. Two-footed, excellent defender. Real Madrid want him. There's talking around £50 million price tags and all this stuff as well for Huijsen. But, just look at those stats for a 19-year-old player making his kind of debut in the Premier League, because Bournemouth only signed him from Juventus, I think it was, in the summer. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one as well. Absolutely outstanding young defender. So if you want somebody to come in that would fit the mold of being young, developmental, has Premier League experience as well, so has done it in the kind of Premier League, that I don't think we could do wrong by looking at this lad, because he is an excellent player. It's just whether we would have the funds available to do that, but he would kind of, then you'd be pretty much set, wouldn't you, with Euro, Huijsen, and potentially depending on how Heaven gets on as well. All of a sudden, like, you've got 3 very good young centre-backs to develop and kind of, grow with in the first team. But I'd love your thoughts on that. I know a few of you have mentioned him in previous videos as well, so I'm going to assume that some of you will rate that kind of signing. Whether we would get it or not remains to be seen. Obviously the price and other clubs maybe with like Real Madrid, for example, Champions League. We might not have Champions League or any European football next season as well. So it's going to be one of those to keep an eye on. But I definitely would rate that. But I'd want to see a bit more credibility before getting too excited about it. But yeah, I think he'd be a fantastic player. But let me know what you think in the comments. Now, the next player, don't necessarily think he fits the mold, but he's not too old, I suppose. So Manchester United are monitoring the situation of Atalanta's Argentine striker Mateo Retegui, who is, again, would be an interesting profile of player to kind of to bring in. He's had an outstanding season so far. He's a little bit older though, 25, so not the worst. 6'1", got really good kind of stats this season. 33 appearances, 23 goals, and 4 assists. A lot of those, though, the worry about is a lot of those are headers. I think he's got 5 headers from crosses, and we don't cross the ball in the box. So, we're afraid of crosses at United. But, would be an interesting profile of player, tall, powerful, Clearly a very good goal scorer, having an outstanding season for Atalanta, would be a decent kind of shout. Not from the most credible source, though, so I would say we'll kind of wait and see. Take that one with a pinch of salt for now. We'll see if there's any kind of interest in there or how it kind of develops. But one I'll pay attention to for you. But would be an interesting profile of player to bring in, that's for sure. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. Now, another player who would fit the mold of what we're looking for, young up-and-coming developmental, Quenda, another report linking us with Quenda. There's no smoke without fire when it comes to this guy because he's being linked with some very credible kind of sources. Record from Portugal, again, decent when it comes to Portuguese news, saying that Manchester United officials were present at Sporting's game against Porto on Friday to watch Geovany Quenda. United will also evaluate Quenda against Borussia Dortmund on Tuesday. So he is definitely a player we're all over at the moment. I mean, very good, young, up and coming. I mean, ticks all the boxes. Obviously, Amorim has played under him or brought him into the kind of first team at Sporting as well. So there's going to be clear interest in Quenda. I think we'll get linked with a lot of Sporting players over the next few weeks and months, but Quenda is definitely one that I could see. You know, with the links we've had, you know, Ornstein, multiple other record before saying deal's effectively done. Now we're constantly scouting him as well. You know, no smoke without fire with Quenda. I do think this is one that has potential to go through in the summer. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. And then the final story I've got for you is regarding Casemiro. So Flamengo are exploring a deal for Casemiro. Manchester United have agreed to loan him out and cover most of his salary. The Brazilian transfer window closes on February the 28th. Now, that came from a fairly credible South American journalist who's good when it comes to like Brazilian news and stuff. So that's one to kind of pay attention to. And then also we've had Ekrim come out saying that Flamengo have started talks to sign Casemiro as well. So two, you know, I would say decent sources, not the most credible though, but sources coming out suggesting there might be something in Casemiro to Flamengo, or Flamengo are interested in him. The problem with Casemiro, though, I think there's been teams that would have taken him over the last 18 months when we've been trying to remove him, is he's just quite happy on his 300-odd grand a week, it seems. Like, it doesn't seem to be in a rush to want to move. I think it would be down to the player himself. I would worry about letting him go, though, without having time to bring in a replacement. With the transfer window club, we can't bring in a replacement. Is that leaving us a bit too light in the midfield? That would be my kind of fear. But then I suppose if he's not playing anyway, we've got nothing to lose. If he's not playing, not part of the plans, and is just literally warming the bench, then could a young player not do that? Could we not, you know, start giving? I mean, Toby Collier, I think, is going to get his minutes on the pitch anyway, hopefully going forward. So could we not, you know, Sekou Kone, for example, could we not start introducing him into the first team? And if Casemiro goes, I mean, it's not the worst idea as well. It's just, I think Casemiro, it's down to him. If he wants to, you know, go and play football, I think United possibly would kind of entertain doing it, but it all comes down to the same old thing. That contract and wages we gave him was absolutely ridiculous. And you know, is he going to want to sacrifice £300,000 a week? Who knows? Keep an eye on it for you. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think about all the other topics discussed in today's video, because that's you all up to date with the latest news and transfer news. Don't forget to smash a like on the video on your way out and subscribe to the channel if you are new. See you in the next one.